Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson talking about something that I imagine will be very controversial. Listen closely, YouTube. We're talking about people who are actually starting fires in California. Now, this is not a conspiracy, YouTube, okay? Although, just ignore all the thousands of people here just with tinfoil Speedos on. Ignore that. I'm going to be showing legit cases of people actually doing this. People who have been arrested for actually doing this. Joe Rogan's calling it out. Tucker Carlson's calling it out. So I'm going to show those 3 clips that I have, and then we're going to go into the solid evidence that this is actually happening. It's not the main reason for it, but these people are definitely trying to contribute to the fires. And they're terrible people. So let's get into it. Joe Rogan first, then we'll move on to Tucker.
Obviously
not.
Otherwise, hurricanes wouldn't hit Florida.
Good point.
They barely get their pots kosher.
Yeah.
No, they make them hit Florida so they get their wills.
Yeah,
Tell the old people.
It's hilarious that some people are saying climate change. This is climate change. This is no, this is arson. That wasn't a Jew.
That's a Jew.
That wasn't a Jew. That was a whiny liberal. This is climate change.
Borderline Jew.
Like no, I'm doing a New York thing. I'm doing a New York thing. Then I'm doing the Jew. But when I talk like this is a whiny liberal. It's climate change. Wake up. No, it's arson. You.
I think it's Mr. Beast. He's setting up a new video.
Wow, that's a strong accusation.
Bold.
No, just kidding.
But
they've been trying to get rid of the homeless for a while.
Bro, the homeless are doing it.
Well, they're flammable.
Everyone is, but they're more inclined to use fire to get their anger out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Huberman actually caught people lighting things on fire. He filmed it. He put it up on his Instagram.
Really?
Yeah. In the middle of the firestorm, people were lighting things on fire to contribute to the fire.
Wow.
You've got losers.
Whoa.
You have 100,000 losers that are just camping on your street. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen when the people with the houses are in jeopardy? What do you think is going to happen when these people that are living in $50 million houses and you're camping out a block away, which is exactly what's going on over there?
And the looting.
And the looting. Well, they looted people's houses when they found out that places were getting evacuated. Swarms of organized gangs were showing up. This lady said 100 guys showed up in front of this house, and she thought they were helping her neighbor move. They just broke down the door and started stealing TVs, stealing everything.
If the house burnt down, that's kind of an
if the house burnt down. But what if the house doesn't burn down? You just stole all their shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you can't do that because it's a break. Obviously,
I'm not actually defending
obviously,
it,
but I see their point too. If I was super poor, if I was super poor and we were living in the hood, and then someone came along and said, "Look, they're evacuating these communities anyway, man. Let's go get paid. Let's go get paid."
Yeah, the house is gonna burn down. They're gonna get insurance.
And if you live in LA and you get caught, they just let you go.
Yeah.
That's true.
They just let you go.
And then didn't Biden say he's given full coverage for this one? How can that be? That's so much money.
It's the same thing as,
he also said
college debt. He just says it.
We're
going
to cover it. Don't
not going to pardon anybody.
He also said
he
could have beaten Trump. He said that too. It's crazy.
In a fight?
He did say that
in the
also.
election.
Oh,
I
wow.
could beat Trump. He said he could have beat him in a fight too.
He said that.
That would be
So
great.
Imagine those two fighting. How much would you pay?
It'd be just like the Jake Paul Tyson fight.
To be there, that pays some.
I'd pay.
Same
Just
amount
as
of power.
It'd be so sad.
Yeah.
Trump would get him, though. Trump would fall on him.
100%.
Trump would tackle him.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, he's
Trump
bigger.
would bite his face off. He would.
Trump 100% would win that fight. He'd be like, Joe, I'm not playing around. Don't worry. Coach Colin's going to play the next clip very soon. Very nice clip. Amazing clip. You've never seen anything like it. Joe, I'm going to beat you like I beat you in the election. Okay? I'm going to give you such fists. You've never seen fists this fast. You've never seen a fight this glorious. A lot of blood. I really, really hope that your wife is an actual doctor. I'm pretty sure she's not. I'm pretty sure she just calls herself a doctor. That's what I heard. And if you want Kambala to come into the fight as well, I'm okay with that. That's fine. We can do that. All right, let's move on to the next clip.
The one guy that they arrested in California, they arrested him. He had a blowtorch in his hand. The neighbors arrested him. The neighbors grabbed him. They called the cops. They arrested the guy, and then they let him go.
Damn.
They let him go. They said no evidence that he was doing
I read
it.
they didn't let him go. He just didn't get charged with arson. He got charged with
He
something
didn't do
else.
it yet.
He had something else.
He had a
charged with
blowtorch in his
thinking
hand.
about it.
Well, he was an illegal. Is this guy the guy that had been deported already and came back in?
That was the guy who lit the lady on fire in the
That's
subway.
right.
He
You're
kept
right.
coming in and out.
Yeah, he had been deported.
The fact that there's the guys that are doing this are illegal immigrants, it's very funny to like work your way the whole way to get here.
And then
just set a lady on fire.
Well, you're acting like it's hard
How
to get
about
in here.
set Palisades
really
on
working.
It's
fire?
pretty hard to get in here.
For
bro.
some people, but I think a lot of people are just
Well, how many people
Getting
died
right
in the
in.
Palisades fire? And that was arson.
100, 200.
Instead, charged with felony probation violation.
Her?
Investigation remains active. No, that's
Oh,
a
she's
lady.
Choi.
Could be Choi.
Fuck
Dominic? Dominic Choi? Is her name Dominic?
Dominique?
No, it's
a different
Renata.
lady. I think that's
Who's that lady?
a neighbor. So a citizen's arrest. So she made the citizen's arrest.
Rasputin.
Renata.
Yeah.
Cramp Granada.
Bro.
She goes.
They've
yeah.
got video of people lighting the fires. They've
Yeah.
got video
Are
from
Are these
the sky.
copycats now? Everyone's just trying to do it?
I don't know if it's organized or not because the way they're doing it is very clever. So they're doing it in the correct place that you would start a fire if you wanted the wind to blow straight through the Palisades.
God, I need
It
those
doesn't.
people
It's
who are
not like
camping.
an idiot who just lights a fire that's like near it. They're lighting a fire with the wind blowing the exact direction, and they did it in specific strategic locations. If it's all arson, it was done very strategically. Because like the way it burned through the city, the videos are insane.
On the hills,
yeah.
too, the way it lights up on a hill, it just goes so
Wind.
fast.
There's 100-mile-an-hour winds, Ari. Like trucks fell over on the highway. You see the highway?
No.
Like people were driving by the highway and there was 18-wheelers just tipped over all over the place.
What?
Yikes.
Yeah, that's how bad the wind was.
This one says the guy. He said he was trying to smoke weed.
Oh yeah, with a blowtorch.
I mean, that's how they do it now.
I heard it was a butane torch, which
He couldn't
smoked
afford a
dabs with.
lighter. Hey,
What?
buddy, a blowtorch
saw
is
the
more
video.
expensive than a
It was
lighter.
big.
Was it? I didn't see it.
It was like
hearing.
it wasn't a blowtorch, but it was like a.
Imagine
Lewis
say you
has.
couldn't afford a lighter. You can
pretty
go into a
crazy.
restaurant and get lighters for free.
Or just light it off a house.
No,
on
you need a
fire.
torch to do dabs. If you're a
do?
dabs guy, you need a torch.
Oh, he's a dabber? He's coming from Mexico to dab in America?
Well, Lewis is from Puerto Rico.
That's America.
Yeah, good point.
Sort of.
Kind
It's
of.
America where you don't pay taxes and you can't vote.
Oh,
Yeah, a lot of guys go over there. You know, that's the scam. That's like the Peter Schiff scam.
What?
You go over there. If you live there like 51% of the time or whatever it is, like there's some number, you don't pay taxes. So you don't pay federal income taxes and you can't vote.
Is that where the Paul brothers are chilling?
I don't need to vote.
yeah.
Are they?
Big Buckeye fans.
Yeah.
You got a lot of
Yeah,
them.
that's why they go over there.
Yeah.
They go over there for tax reasons.
Oh. It's like a Swiss bank.
Like Peter Schiff talked about it on my podcast, and a bunch of fellas hopped on that
I
bandwagon.
was like, ooh, nice, I'll do that.
Yeah, because like he was explaining why you should do it.
Kinda why we're
He's
in
like, we have an
Texas.
amazing.
That's kinda why we're in Texas.
Man, I didn't know that about Puerto Rico. I had no idea. I don't know if you guys know. There's a clip. I think I'm going to cut it because I want to keep it concise. But Joe Rogan, they were talking about people being in jail, R. Kelly being in jail. And Joe Rogan's like, it's just like a barbershop. Oh, man. When Joe gets lit up, Joe gets way funnier. When he's lit, when he's real lit, he gets real funny. Now, Biden saying that they're going to cover everything. I hope it's true. Like, I definitely am not one of those people where I dislike Biden so much that I'm hoping he doesn't do good things. I hope he does do that good thing. That would be amazing. But it does seem like he's just kind of saying that. He has a few days left. He knows that. He's like, we'll cover it. And then, you know, is he in the next few days? Is that what's going to happen? We got 6 days left before this guy's out of office. You think he's going to do that in 6 days? I don't think so. So just saying, Ari's background of his stand-up special looked terrible, but I guess it was nice. And, you know, when it comes to these whole fires, I don't even know if that clip's in there, but if you look at Ari's background of his special, moving on to the Tucker Carlson clip, if you look at the background of his special, it's like, it's just forest. It looks wild. It's nice, but I don't know, just interesting. And then when it comes to the poor people that are possibly lighting these fires, because who knows who it actually is, you know, I could see there being enough hatred in those people to feel like, you know, why not contribute to this? These people look down on me every single day. You know, I can see a few people feeling like that. It definitely couldn't be the consensus of everyone who's without house and home. Some people just falling on hard times. Other people are into addiction. I wouldn't just frame them all as psychopaths, because that's what you'd have to be to try and do something like that. Let's move on to the Tucker Carlson clip and see what he has to say about this whole thing. And it's another wild... It's kind of a theory. They're saying that it's meth heads in the Tucker Carlson clip. Let's check this out.
Weather Service put out a fire warning on January 2nd, and a local weatherman actually forecasted on January 1st. They said we're headed towards a super dangerous moment. the next day, the National Weather Service Los Angeles held a briefing to underscore that point. The day after that, the mayor flew to Ghana. I mean, it's crazy. Like,
so these were public press conferences.
Yeah, these were, it's absolutely public, and it goes to the politicians first, but it's all said public. It's the National Weather Service. So that was like literally on the first or second, the governor should have called out the National Guard. He should have called all of our neighboring states. He should have called Canada and Mexico, asked for all their backup help. They should have started circling C-130s that are, especially retrofitted with that can dump the fire retardant or water. They should have had helicopters circling to see where the fires were. It should have been immediate mobilization.
Pardon my ignorance. I didn't see that news when it happened, but I didn't know that. So it was really clear to the people who run the city and the state that you had this combination of dry conditions and heavy winds, high winds.
Yeah, and because there's so many ignitions, because of really these two factors, mostly the electrical wires, brushing up against vegetation and triggering a fire. That's kind of one of the main ones. The other one is homeless people starting fires all over LA. Half of all fires put out by the LA Fire Department are started by homeless people. It's been that way for years.
Why do homeless people start fires?
It turns out meth heads love to start fires. There's just every drug has its kind of weird element to it, but meth heads love starting fires. They love destroying things. Like meth is like the drug of nihilism. So it's like perfect drug for LA and California at the moment.
So these are not cooking fires.
They could be cooking fires.
But starting fires to destroy things is
for sure.
meth addiction.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's not evil or anything.
No, totally fine. Yeah, what could go wrong?
But isn't classically starting fires and torturing animals, aren't those like signs of sociopathic behavior?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, look, meth makes you makes you psychopathic. It makes you psychotic. It's meth-induced psychosis. But I mean, and all the crazy. I mean, people behave. I mean, things that people do on meth. I mean, it's like they behave with like superhuman crazy powers. The levels of violence, the assaults, when you interview people, particularly people in recovery that describe being on meth, I mean, they're just awake for like weeks at a time. Like it's not even clear how they get any sleep at all. So that madness has continued. And, and Mayor Bass, who's
so just to isolate what you're saying and just to pause I think it's a really important point. Fires, at least half of fires in LA County are started by homeless people.
Yeah.
And you believe that's driven by their use of a specific drug, meth.
Not totally. I mean, I think homeless people are going to often start fires for a lot of different reasons. I mean, drugs can start fires, but the meth heads are like into fire. Like it's a big part of meth culture. It's just starting things on fire.
No one sees this in theological terms. It's like this.
I know, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah. No, it's satanic. I mean, you kind of go totally satanic. I mean,
it seems about as obvious as it could be.
Yeah, it's awful. But you kind of go. I mean, so first of all, that problem should have been dealt with obviously years ago. It should never have been allowed. So, but that they knew on January 1st, January 2nd, that the fires were coming. Like it was inevitable that there would be fires. Like there was like zero doubt among anybody that knows anything about fire in Los Angeles that the fires were coming. The fires were coming. So the governor should have been there. The mayor should have been there. You should it's all about prevention, in part because by the time the fire trucks are having to weave their way up those little hills of the Pacific Palisades, it's over. I mean, so the other thing to keep in mind is that okay, well, so that's the first thing, is that they just have to mobilize in advance.
So that's a feature for people who aren't aware of the geography of LA.
Oh, it's just incredible. I mean, it's why it's so beautiful, right? Beautiful places are dangerous.
Exactly right.
So that's like the main event. So because I knew I did, my first thing I did is I was like, look, they're going to come out and say it was inevitable, and that's just a total lie.
Because of global warming.
Yeah, because of global warming, and I mean, anyway, there's so many places to go here, but just on the most practical sense. They knew the fires were coming and they didn't do anything. The mayor leaves the country. She flies to Ghana after having promised not to leave the country, by the way, as mayor. She's traveled at least six times out of the country and she promised not to travel. Why is it important the mayor be there? Because you say, well, aren't there other people in charge? Because it's an emergency command situation. She has to be able to issue orders and to, waive regulations and make things happen. The governor has to be doing that. They didn't do that. They should have had, by the way, they should get the fire trucks up into the fire areas right away. Yeah. They can also start, they can start clearing brush. They can start, but literally they could just be in those neighborhoods, just sitting there for days at a time, waiting for the fires to happen, put them out as soon as they happen. I'm not saying that they would have been able to prevent all the fires from happening, but you remember like the big fire in 1993, I think it was Laguna Beach, or maybe it was Malibu as well, but it was like 700 homes. We're at 10,000 structures at this point, homes and buildings gone, 200,000 people evacuated. I mean, it's like, it's madness. It never needed to get to that level. Okay, so that's the first thing. They just needed to have been there before the fire started, and they didn't do that because the politicians are just, they're focused on themselves. They're focused on the next political office they want to get. So that was the first thing. The second thing is the water runs out, right? So that was and you hear people go, oh, well, there's nothing you can do because like once the homes are burned down, like the water lines, you can see the pictures, the water like will be spilling out, of the homes. And so that lowered the water pressure. That was a total lie. There is something called the Santa Ynez water reservoir, which is the potable water, meaning the drinking water that also goes into the fire hydrant system, because the fire hydrant, the fire hydrant system is the drinking water system. It's the same thing. It's the exact same system. That reservoir was empty, and it was the second largest of the 10 potable water reservoirs that serve LA County. Let me make one distinction here because there's actually two kinds of reservoirs. There's the reservoir with the snowmelt water, these really big lakes, basically. And then there's that's the unpurified water, and then they purify it, and then they feed into these reservoirs where they store the water for all sorts of reasons for emergencies. So that is an absolute crime. That Santa Ynez Reservoir. Why? Because first of all, it's right next to the Pacific Palisades. So for people that don't know, Pacific Palisades, of course, is like right near. It's on your way to Malibu. It's like the last big neighborhood before you get to the.
And they're Palisades. They're over the water.
That's right. And so they have a reservoir. Like you look at the Google Maps and you look at where the Santa Ynez Reservoir is, it's right next to like a few thousand feet from Pacific Palisades, and it's really high up. And so if you had water coming from that, the firefighters would have had plenty of water. They would have had the water pressure, even if you had lost some homes and had the water out. So, two major failures. The first was the failure to aggressively respond days in advance, even though they had very clear warnings. The second was the reservoir was empty. One reporter has reported that the firefighters had not been warned by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power that reservoir was empty. If that's true, that's just additionally scandalous. But one of the
I let that run a little long because that was very informational there. But sticking to the whole arson thing. But just to say it really quick, when it came to the reservoir, no warning. It's not like it was empty, the reservoir, for like a week or a month. It was actually empty for a year. So again, I guess the people in water, the water management people, they're supposed to tell the fire department. But I was saying in another video, I'm like, you'd think as the fire department, you'd want to keep up with that. Maybe now that I know about these water management people, maybe contact them. Hey, are all the reservoirs full? Just, I don't know, man. Just huge lack of communication and a huge lack of leadership. The only good thing that comes of all this is people understanding, especially the people of California, that Gavin Newsom is not a leader. Because I know, maybe he won't now because of this whole thing, but I know he was in line to run for president. He is not the person. And I'm not saying it because he's on the left. It's because he's Gavin Newsom. He's his own category of terrible. Now, let's get into this whole thing. Now, like he said, Andrew Huberman actually found somebody actually lighting some stuff. He actually watched him. He filmed it. So look at this video here.
Lit a fire. These guys, not all the people there, but some of those guys lit that fire, and they're actually, the trees caught fire, and then the palms are catching fire. So civilians are now lighting fires down in the so-called flats around Santa Monica, Venice. So be safe out there. Fire department's been dispatched. We don't have enough water to put this thing out. People are lighting fires now. You can see they lit a fire. These guys, not all the people there, but some of those guys lit that fire.
Wild. So Andrew Huberman actually caught that and just put it on social media right away just to warn people. This is an actual thing. Now, again, you could always look at this video and say, well, there's no real proof of that. This is just a fire with people around it. And 100%, I hear you on that, but maybe not towards this fire, but there have been people caught doing this type of thing. Now, California fires, multiple people accused of arson. Let me shrink this down for you guys just a little bit so you can see it a little better. Multiple people accused of arson. This is a real thing that's gone on recently. As everybody knows, this scene here, this is actually what Joe Rogan was talking about. That is the man there with the blowtorch. I don't know if they're going to show it in this, but I do have it in another clip. Let me just, let me go to another case. Man admits to purposely starting a brush fire. This happened on, when did this come out? I believe it was January 11th that this came out. 11:30 p.m. Friday. So this was last week, Friday. So yeah, that was the 10th, I believe. So a man purposely did this. Actually started a brush fire. Now, let me just jump over here because I actually know who this guy is. Which guy is this one? The Woodland guy? No. It's Jose Escobar. On January 11th, there you go. Jose Escobar was arrested for starting a brush fire. California, it's Azusa, California. According to reports, Escobar, described as a transient, was found sitting next to the flames at Pioneer Park shortly after 11 p.m. He admitted to starting the fire. During questioning, it was subsequently arrested for arson. The Los Angeles County Fire Department quickly extinguished the blaze, but the arrest occurred amid a series of wildfires in Southern California, including the Palisades fires in West LA and the Eaton. So the fires that we all know about. And that's one guy. So these are two separate cases that I'm showing you. This case here. There's another case here. Suspect admits to starting a fire. There is this whole case. This is the man who got arrested but wasn't charged for arson. This is actually the people finding him and seeing him because they see him with a blowtorch. The guy's like, what's the big deal? I got a blowtorch. And they're like, no, the whole place is on fire. What are you doing? So they actually do a whole citizen's arrest. They take him in. I'll show it here again. This is actually him getting arrested, but this is a little more informative of a video. Let's see here.
Now being reported that illegal alien gangs are in America. Well, we knew that, thanks, Joe. But they're intentionally setting fires in Southern California. They're intentionally doing this in order to get us to evacuate. See that yellow tank on top of the hood? That is a torch. The neighbors saw this guy trying to torch something next to their house. They apprehended him. They kept him there until the police showed up. And the police just arrested this arson. He's already a suspect in some of the other fires that have started. So pay attention. Watch your surroundings. Pay attention.
So I will, full transparency. He is not suspect of other fires. This is David J. Harris Jr. He's a little salacious, a little rambunctious when he has his stories. I'll put it that way. But he was not suspect for other fires. The people in the neighborhood were just like, you have a torch and there's places on fire everywhere. So they just, to be safe, they were like, we have to make sure that this guy is at least talked to by the police. They can look into this guy. And this is them actually taking him into custody. Again, that yellow canister there is his lighter, like they were talking about in the Joe Rogan clip. He couldn't afford a lighter, so he got this thing instead. I don't know. Some people like to go big. Maybe that's what he was doing there. But there's a little bit more on this guy here. This is them actually talking about the arrest.
They responded, they interviewed this suspect. After the interview and additional investigative steps, looking at some additional evidence that was present, they made the determination that there was not enough probable cause to arrest this person on arson or suspicion of arson, and therefore this person was arrested on a felony probation violation. This investigation is ongoing, however, and I'd like to thank those community members that were involved in this and helping us bring this person to our attention, and so we can have an ongoing investigation. The second point I want to talk about.
So that's what happened. So he is a man who stays in a bit of trouble. This was part of that, but they took him in on something else. So again, does that mean he didn't start any fires? In my opinion, I mean, tinfoil Speedos, tinfoil family right now, right? So obviously, I think he might have. I mean, where was he before this? They don't have any proof. He could just say, I was nowhere, but he could have just been going from place to place, doing that type of thing. We have no idea. Andrew Huberman saw a fire started. He could have had something to do with it. Like, we just don't really know. And, you know, they can't just take him in, but there are people starting fires, man. Like, this is another film of somebody actually doing it. You can see right there. Let me just play that again for you guys. You see right there, this guy's lighting a tree and walking away. This is a real thing. And that's what it turned into. Like, and this guy just waltzed away. You know? Now, to what Joe Rogan's saying in regards to, and that's the gentleman right there. I'll leave that frozen for you. But to what Joe Rogan was saying, people cleverly doing it in the ways of the wind. I don't know anything about that. I haven't seen anything about that in my research, but who knows? I remember when BLM first ignited, the whole George Floyd thing first ignited. I remember it. I can't find it. But there was a video of a guy who was a security specialist. He owned a security company. And he was talking about, it was right at the beginning, and he was like, the way these people are doing things is so professional. He's like, they're flanking. He's like, they're cutting off certain spots. He's like, for some reason, these people know exactly what to do. He's like, these are not regular people who are just wild rioters. He's like, this is something very different. And he was right. There was many people who were arrested that were part of Antifa and whatnot. But is that the same thing going on here? I don't know. But I also do know that certain people subscribe to Rules for Radicals, the book by Saul Alinsky, and they know to never let a crisis go to waste. That was one of his teachings. Never let a crisis go to waste. Maybe that's what these people are doing. I have no idea. But again, YouTube, these are real cases here. I mean, these are real people who are actually getting caught doing this whole thing. It's despicable, but you do have to stay vigilant. If you know anybody in that area, tell them to keep their eyes peeled, because you just never know. You know, I'm not the type of person to try and get people to turn on their neighbors. I don't think that's the way, but you do have to look at all these people. And I don't know that it's just homeless people doing it. You know, this Tucker Carlson's guest was saying it's people on meth. Okay. All right, you know, maybe. I don't know. I've never heard of that being a thing that people do. They start fires when they're on certain things. I don't know. You know, I know there's one thing that people take and they want to eat a whole bunch of things. I know that to be true, but I've never heard of the fire thing before. But I'm lucky enough to not hang around people who do that type of thing. There's one more thing I'll bring up in this video. There's this video that was circulating.
The firemen don't have hoses, so they're literally using purses.
So these are actual, a lot of people were commenting on this. These are actual bags that they will use if they don't have access to a hose or to a hydrant, and they will just throw water onto fires. So what you're seeing is not just an under-equipped firefighters. You're seeing guys who are like trying their best to actually put out a blaze that's starting up right there. So I just wanted to clarify that, because this clip has been circulating quite a bit. If any of you guys have seen it, these are not guys using handbags. They're not using purses. They're using actual equipment that they have, and they're trying their best just to get rid of something that's really small, so it doesn't turn into something really big. You know, at the end of the day, I really do blame Gavin Newsom. I blame Karen Bass, but I don't blame the firemen. They're trying their best. They're out there doing it. If you go to a hydrant and there's no water, you know, you do your best. What can you really do at that point? And when everything's on fire, because there's a lot of reports of people being like, this is on fire. I saw a fire truck drive by. I don't know about that, but I don't think, well, I've seen it, but I don't think they're doing it maliciously. I think they're just they're like chickens with their heads cut off right now. It's like over here, over there. They're getting called over here, but they're driving by a place there, but they can't stop because they say that there's people over there. I'm sure they have a very rough job. So, you know, just shout out to the firemen for actually showing up. Sorry that your governor is Gavin Newsom. Sorry that your mayor is Karen Bass, and that they don't know where the water is. They don't know what's going on. Gavin's setting up an investigation. Why was the water pressure so low? Hey, put out the fire, Gavin. I so don't want him to run for president. Oh man. but I know it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen for sure. He is like 60, but you know, he might be like Biden. He might be like 80, and he'd be like, "This is my time, guys." And then what do we do? You know, Barron Trump's president, and he has to go against Gavin Newsom. Oh man, but guys, seriously, it's an odd thing that's going on. There are people who are involved with starting fires, and again, just stay vigilant and pray for those people who are affected by these absolutely terrible people who think starting a fire is okay. You know, I never subscribe to the whole, well, they're rich, so it's fine to do that type of thing to them. Like, I get it. I've worked with people from Hollywood. I get it. And they are those type of people. They are very snobby. They are, but this is not the way. I mean, the thing is, and again, going back to like BLM, it's like you're talking about the police or you're talking about the rich, right? And they're the problem. They're the big problem. But then when you go about your little crusade, maybe whatever these guys are doing, you affect regular people. You know what I mean? It's like no elites got really hurt from the riots and when BLM was running around. No people got hurt. Regular people got hurt. Regular mom and pop shops got closed down and bashed in and this and that. And it's the same thing here with whoever's doing this. I do suspect that listen, we got our tinfoil Speedos on. I suspect that there could be something organized going on where they're not letting a crisis go to waste. And they're saying, okay, let's just pop over here. Let's pop over there. Let's keep this thing going. I don't know. But in other news that's completely unrelated, a lot of these areas are going to be smart cities by 2028. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about at all. But I just wanted to let you guys know that smart cities will be in LA by 2028. And they need some place to set up because they're going to have like very close quarters, just so you can leave your house and whatever you need is like 15 minutes away. So I don't know if they've found the land yet. I don't know if they found the area to do it yet. Maybe they have, but just completely unrelated topic. Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.